Welcome to Really Raha, the podcast for women who know they're way too powerful to be stuck in a 9-to-5. I'm Raha, multi-six-figure high-ticket sales coach, PhD student in global leadership and change, and sponsored skateboarder. I went from serving tables and chasing tips to mastering high-ticket sales and building income streams that don't require me to trade hours for dollars. Here we talk about the real path into remote sales, landing aligned offers, closing with confidence, regulating your nervous system under pressure, and building a skill set that pays you from anywhere. This isn't bro sales. This is psychology, power, and feminine precision. If you're here, it's because you feel it. Freedom isn't optional for you. It's inevitable. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Really Raha podcast, reporting to you in the luteal phase. And I had a whole nother idea of what I wanted to talk about for the episode today, but being in luteal and working with women who are in luteal and are just shifting through the different cycles of being a woman, I wanted to take this episode as an opportunity to talk about what high ticket sales feels like when you're in your luteal phase. And as women, we got to see our days a little bit differently because our 28-day cycle, give or take, plus or minus, we feel like we're 28 different people on 28 different days. And that's okay because we don't want to not have the days that make us feel self-conscious and mushy and feel like everybody hates us. Like, we're going to have those days. We're going to feel more insecure during that part of our cycle. But to be in high ticket sales, honestly, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have a calendar full of calls. You're still going to have sales calls. Like, we're still going to feel that way. But the magic is in being able to snap and shift and lock into who's in front of you. And when I'm in luteal, it's extra hard. It's extra hard showing up, it's extra hard leading, but I've gotten so good at it because I've proven to myself over and over and over that no matter how mushy I feel, I can snap and lock into who's in front of me. And the more that you activate this muscle, the more that you have those text messages that come in that disrupt you right before a call, but you can still snap and lock in. That's how you build that muscle. And in order to build that muscle, we need to be excited about the opportunities that we have to build that muscle. So when you do wake up and you are feeling mushy and you look at your calendar and you're like, oh my God, I have 5 sales calls today. I can't even get out of bed. We're going to reframe that immediately and change our state. And we're going to look for excitement into this and find the challenge. I love to get excited about days like this. I love to say out loud to myself because I talk out loud to myself all the time. I'll say, oh my God, I feel like absolute shit right now, but I'm so excited to figure out how to push through days like this so that I can make it through and still be the highest version of myself. Do you feel the power in that of being able to challenge yourself? Because for me, and I think for you too, you're very high achieving. You're very ambitious. You might even be a little bit of a perfectionist. So use this opportunity as if you can make it through a day like this with 5 calls in luteal, then you can literally do anything. Because let's be real, men don't have to experience this. They don't even know what it's like to have to toughen up like this on the hard days. Use that as energy. Use that feminine energy, that feminine power, that this is not easy to be able to do this, to be able to function in our day-to-day when sometimes we just literally don't want to do anything all day. And what's cool about high ticket sales is like also too, depending on the offer that you're on, you might be able to swap and have someone take your calls depending on the structure. Start with your values. This is why in Revenue Room, we tell our ladies to start with your values and then find an offer and design it around there because there are offers like that. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to have that muscle really dialed of getting so good at snapping, shift, lock in. It's mindfulness. So the more that you take time in the morning to have those slow mornings, to not just rush into your day, you're going to be operating from a higher level frequency anyway. And that's the power of the reframe so that when you sense yourself being like, oh, I got to do this, be like, nope. Like, I'm here, I'm excited, because we don't want to have any sort of around the life that you're building. You getting into high ticket sales, that's exciting. Saying that's what we did when we would go to a serving shift or to your 9 to 5. We'd say, I got to go to work. So first and foremost, when you feel that be like, nope, I'm excited. Yeah, this is going to be tough. Yeah, this is going to be something that's not going to be easy, but I'm so excited for the version of me that's going to be on the other side of this. And then bam, reframe. And this is one of my most powerful nervous system regulation techniques that I still use to this day, 3 years later, because every level that we go up, there's going to be the voice that comes in. And with luteal, the voice is very real. And just to back up a little bit, for those of you who may not really know all the cycles, you have your follicular phase, which is like spring. So this is where energy starts to go up. Like imagine just dancing and frolicking in a meadow. And then ovulation, that's when you're like the queen, the fire, the super confident energy. And then luteal phase is when we start taking a dip in our hormones and we start to feel like that mushiness. So you start to feel more self-conscious. You start to look inward more. This is when our intuition is the most heightened, but the stories, the judgment, that all gets in the way of your intuition coming in. So the more that you stay in that baseline of trust and self-love when you're in luteal, the more your intuition is not going to be clouded by all the stories and the walls that tend to shoot up. And then menstruation. So this is just more slower pace. It feels like winter. Luteal's like fall. So those are the phases of our cycle. And something I like to do too is when I am in follicular, because that's my favorite phase, then I will do extra things to look out for myself that's going to be in luteal, who's going to feel the toughness, because I know my body and I know how I am. I track my cycle. I look at it every day of the month. So I know, okay, that makes sense. This is the pattern. On day 16, I tend to feel like this. On day 26, I tend to feel like this. Day 26 is like my hardest day. Like I know that about myself. So can we first get clarity on how you operate on those days? I would journal, like literally every day. I would write down my mood. I would connect that to the cycle. I would start to make these connections to just understand myself more. And that's not to say that there isn't other variables. Of course, there's other variables. There's things happening in your environment and the food that you're eating and the water that you're drinking. And at the end of the day, it's one lens to see yourself through. And it gives us a reason to give yourself some grace of like, okay, this makes sense. And that doesn't mean we're going to be lazy. You're just going to have a different version of what 100% feels like for you today. So for example, for me, I know myself and I need to have one task a day related to my business. If I put anything more, I'll freeze and I just won't do anything. So for me, I'm like, okay, today's podcast day. That is my one task. I'm so excited to do it. I am in luteal, but we're still going to love it. So I just get myself excited about it. And honestly, I pulled up Riverside right here and I just hit record. Like, I don't usually have notes for these episodes. I really do just flow. But sometimes you just got to do that. You got to think about the future version of yourself and just get out of the waiting. Oftentimes too, I know the Beatles elevates my mood. Like I know that. Another thing we do in Revenue Room is I help the ladies build a high frequency list so that they have that to come back to when they are in luteal. It's like, what works for you on the days that feel good. Let's pull something from that. And for me, it's the Beatles. So I will just literally, the words will just come out of my mouth of just making the music play, making the Beatles play, making some sort of album play so that I changed my state. It's all about changing states. And with high ticket sales, it is tumultuous. It is emotional. One week you'll feel like you're on top of the world. One week you'll feel like you're at the very bottom. But at the end of the day, it's all wind. It's all noise. So the practice is, how can I stay regulated and trust myself despite all this happening? Because what's the alternative? You continue to go to your 9 to 5, you continue to go serve tables. That's hard too. And guess what? You can't just stay at home when you're in luteal and you're cramping during that time. At least you're able to work remote and to take your laptop with you. So pulling from the gratitude sometimes is just enough to get us out of that funk too. Because whenever I'm like on my period and I look at my calendar, I'm like, I got 5 calls today. Here we go. I got it. I just take a moment and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I'm not a server anymore. Because when I was a server, I would have to go run around and serve tables in the middle of my cramps. And I don't take Midol or anything. Like I don't even take aspirin. So I'm feeling the cramps. But it taught me how to get out of my body, to immerse myself in the present moment, and to shift my awareness. So I got excited about that. I felt like I was like the master at like emotional regulation. I was like, whoa, all I need to do is just reshift my energy and focus on something else. So if you're focusing on the cramps, if you're focusing on how this sucks or this doesn't feel good, you're just going to be in more of that. So when we look for gratitude, first and foremost, is like, I'm so grateful that this is a problem that I have. There's going to be problems all the time, but you get to choose your problems. Because I know for me, I would so much rather choose a problem of waking up and feeling mushy and being able to stay in bed in between calls. If I wanted to just take a call, take a little break, take a call, take a little break. Like you can do that. You don't have to go to a physical location and force yourself to put a smile on your face all the time and have to ask permission for a lunch break. Like let's find that gratitude of why you're doing this. And even too, when you're in the training, like it's going to be ups and downs. You're going to feel like you know everything. You're going to feel like you know nothing. You're going to get a curveball and it's going to be hard. So to be in high ticket sales, it really is that constant work of just remembering that you have that trust in yourself, that balance is a lie. There's no, there's no such thing as balance. Work-life balance is a lie. That's not what we're striving for. We don't want a balanced life. We want to find a way to integrate in a way to know that there's going to be different priorities and different seasons and different chapters. You're going to have a season where you prioritize training. You're going to have a season where you prioritize family. There's no all or nothing here. It's just a matter of choosing what to focus your energy on and knowing that whatever you focus on, that's going to be what has the momentum. So when you are in this state and you are wondering, how do I just make it through? I want you to lean into gratitude. I want you to lean into the counter affirmations. I want you to lean into the version of you who's already a master in that skill set, who knows how to regulate, who knows how to shift her baseline. Those 3 techniques right there, gratitude, counter affirmations, and channeling your future self, keep those in your back pocket. Because when you're on top of the world, we forget what it's like to be on the bottom. And when we're on the bottom, we forget what it's like to be on the top. So write down your version of a high frequency list, what you need on those days where you feel like your bandwidth is not as high, your battery is not as full. And ask yourself too, what does 100% for me look like today? Because every day, growth is not linear. There is no, oh, I'm just going up, up, up. It's like, no, that's not growth. It's up and down and up and down, and then a little consistency and then up and down. So every day we need to just have that honest conversation and say, okay, how am I feeling today? How's my baseline? What do I need? How can I connect the dots with joy right now? And what are some affirmations I could really use today? Who do I want to be today? It's like pull from all of that and write down a list. What are the things that I know make me feel good? So that on those low days, it's almost like I got to force myself to just get in the energy of just one of those things. Like I said before, the Beatles. What is that song that you know is your secret shifter? That's just going to shift your baseline no matter what. So I wanted to take some time and just be this voice of authenticity, that it's not going to feel awesome every day. It's going to be hard on some days, but the version of you who's building this life is the one who can regulate herself and to come back to baseline faster and have that self-trust and to have that self-compassion and to have that forgiveness. Because when we are able to do that, we can truly focus on who's in front of us. And that's the big why energy, is you being a closer. You're doing this because you're helping. And to help, we got to get out of our own way and our own stories and our own problems. Just sometimes when we finish the call, we can come back and be like, okay, I raised my frequency getting on that call. That was an awesome call. Maybe you got to close. Then you're going to come back to the problems that you have and the mushiness of the luteal in a much better state. So it's going to help you through it faster and faster. But I'm not going to take too long with this episode. I wanted to just flow with you, connect with you, and just let you know that it's totally normal to have days where you just want to watch TV all day, or you just want to go outside and just walk for hours until your legs just fall off. And I want you to know that you can give yourself permission to do that. So start with your values, start with your needs, understand your body, and then you can always find an offer that aligns with that. But at the end of the day, high ticket sales is about pushing through and it's about grit. So we're not canceling calls. We're not no-showing calls. We're getting excited about the version of us that still can come to those calls no matter what. And I know you're going to find your secret shifter, your high frequency recipe to be able to do that. But send me a DM if this hit, if this landed. And I'm curious, what are some of the things on your high frequency list that you know that even in your deepest luteal mush, you're able to come back to baseline? I'm curious. I love you, and I'll see you next week. If this episode resonated with you, if something clicked, stretched you, or made you see what's possible, share it and tag me on Instagram at Radiant Rahaf so I can hype you up properly. And if you haven't already, subscribe and leave a 5-star review so more women who are ready to step into high-ticket sales and reclaim their freedom can find this space. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited for you already. See you next Tuesday.